Welcome. Today I will be talking about the importance of communicating key messages in a consistent way. It is important to have a communication plan, and basically for all the resources that are going to be involved in communicating messages to the workforce, but also externally, to be on the same page. The last thing that you want is basically for someone to say A and for someone else to say B and then to say C. This actually creates rumors, creates basically sarcasm, and most of all detachment, because people wouldn't know what to believe and who to believe. So when delivering, basically, first of all, what are these key messages? Basically, they are the milestones and the most important elements that you will have to communicate to the workforce at a specific time. So for example, it can be the first announcement that the change management initiative is going to take place. So for example, it could be if it is a merger, when the merger is going ahead, then explaining that the merger will be effective from this date and this is when the gap happen in the future. If there are going to be redundancies, again, is to communicate the reason when the restructuring is going to take place and the reason for the restructuring and so on. Of course, depending on the change management initiative that you are undertaking, you would have to communicate the key message that is suitable for that specific situation. There are some common elements in key messages and there are basically the following. First of all is what is the change management initiative that is going to be implemented? What is the rationale of this change management initiative? Why is this change management initiative the best way to fulfill this rationale? And why are we doing it now? Also, in order to manage people's expectations, you will have to explain how the change management initiative is going to be implemented and how this change management initiative is going to impact people within the organization. As I explained in one of my previous videos, it's important to be honest. So don't gloss over any kind of negative repercussion for the employee. It doesn't mean that you have to be brutal, but at the same time, it doesn't mean that you have to go through, blue sky and flowers, on a grass, because that's not what is going to happen. If everything is hunky-dory, at the first obstacle that you will face, employees will basically lose faith, because they will think that, hang on, they said that everything was going to be fine, and now look what's going to happen. So when you plan all the kind of communication, you will have to take into consideration the elements that I have highlighted, and basically give a communication that is going to be easy to understand, that is not going to be, for example, the sort of abstract jargon, because people have to understand what you are saying. And most of all, one of the mistakes that a lot of companies make is that they cram together tons and tons of information when they first announce a change management initiative, and then basically they don't say anything anymore. Well, people, when they are made aware that something particularly shocking for them is going to happen, tend to switch off. So if you're giving them an information that is going to be particularly, leaving them in a state of shock, they basically literally will not listen to the rest of the conversation. So keep the message brief, keep the message to the point, but most of all, reinforce the message. The fact that you have communicated a specific information doesn't mean that it has been absorbed and understood by your audience. So communicate frequently, and most of all, keep it clear. Always, it doesn't mean that you have to over communicate and basically say the same thing 55 times. Of course, you have to be sensible, and that's why a communication manager will help you going through this I must say difficult element of change management. But basically think about what your key messages are, how to structure them, and basically the timing and the frequency with which you would have to repeat those messages. It's also important to train your managers on how to communicate with people. Not everyone is a good communicator, even though unfortunately some managers actually are promoted into a managerial position and have got zero people skills. Well, take this as an opportunity to upgrade the skills of individuals that may be not excellent communicators. You don't have to be excellent, you actually have to be sympathetic and have empathy. So again, this actually could be an opportunity to upskill your management and your workforce. So think about what the key messages are, what you are going to say, and be consistent when you are repeating these messages, so that the things that you are saying will be on the same page, and you will not have basically you will not give to the workforce chances to create or to distort messages. Of course, there will always be grapevine. Is part of human nature, but of course if the message is consistent, again you will decrease the grapevine mill, and most of all you will make the change management initiative much more credible, because if people do believe the message and the message is consistent and clear, it will be easier for them to understand what are the advantages of a change management initiative for them. Remember that an employee tends to take change management on board only if their gain from that situation is much higher than the pain that they will have to go through. If my pain is higher than my gain, I will be like, why do I have to do this? There's nothing in it for me. Thank you so much for watching.